Since it launched in 1955, the Guinness Book of World Records has become a staple of pop culture, as well as the gift of choice for aunts and uncles who knew nothing about their nieces and nephews. Oh, thanks, Great Aunt Edna. I'll put that with my bath bomb set and Star Wars socks. I love it. Guinness covers literally everything, so it's hardly surprising that there are entire sections devoted to video game world records. This is where you'll find your classic speedruns and time trials, but there are some records that will make you wonder what Guinness was thinking, or what the people who set those records were thinking, or what those people who talk about the records are thinking. That's me. I'm the people. This may sound like I'm taking shots at record holders, but believe me, I'm not. Any world record is an extremely impressive feat and something to be proud of, no matter how bizarre. These records, however, warrant some extra attention and maybe a little good-natured confusion as well. I'm the record-breakingly chaotic Ashton from Triple Jump, and here are the 10 weirdest video game world records. Number 10, most alternative control methods used to complete Dark Souls. Gamers are obsessed with beating Dark Souls in as many wacky ways as possible. There are world records for completing it without taking a hit, upside down, or even wearing a real suit of armour. Now that's what I call a peripheral. The Dark Souls record we're focusing on is held by Benjamin Beardsley Grimm, who in 2016 completed the game 9 times with 9 different controllers. Beardsley's weapons of choice included a Wiimote, a dance mat, a Rock Band piano, a Donkey Kong bongo drum, and a microphone. He even had to write his own software to make some of these items work within the game. It helps that Beardsley is a programmer by trade. If I tried to write any sort of software, I'd probably burn Newcastle down by mistake. The Canadian has plans to beat the game with even more bizarre controllers, including a Power Glove and a Kinect, which would be an absolute miracle because most Kinect games don't even work with the Kinect. Number 9, youngest competitor at the Super Mario Kart World Championship. It might be easy to forget this when your dad is screaming expletives at you for using a blue shell on the final lap, but Mario Kart is supposed to be for all ages. Keen to remind the world of this fact was Lucas Duarte Late when he attended the Super Mario Kart World Championships in 2010. Lucas was just 9 years and 149 days old, making him the youngest player to compete at these championships, and meaning he was almost a full decade younger than the game he was playing. He did pretty well too, scoring 510 points and finishing 26th overall. Other impressive young gamers include Josh Dean, who signed for esports Team 33 on his 8th birthday, and Victor Lil Poison de Leon, who, aged just 6 years old, became the world record holder for the youngest professional gamer in 2005. Yeah, well, when I was 6, I could ride my bike without stabilisers. Well, almost. My mum had to help me, and I did cry every time I fell off, but that's not the point. God, I feel like such a failure. This list isn't very good for my self-esteem. Number 8, the first religious rhythm game. You've heard of rhythm games, you've heard of religious games. Well, get ready to hear about religious rhythm games! Hooray! 2008's Guitar Praise was developed and published by Christian video game company Digital Praise as a more religious version of, you guessed it, American Idol. Wait, hang on, no, it wasn't that. It was Guitar Hero. Guitar Praise and Guitar Hero are almost identical, except for the fact that the former has no in-game avatars, as the company thought the ones that Activision used were negative role models. And I don't think that's fair, though admittedly, most rock stars do set some bad examples.
Yeah, I probably could have been a lot better parent.
The soundtrack to Guitar Praise features a bunch of Christian rock artists you've likely never heard of. Seventh Day Slumber, anyone? Jonah 33? How about Chris Tomlin and his hit track, Made to Worship? No? Me neither. In all seriousness, the game was well received by religious and non-religious outlets alike. They even released an expansion pack celebrating the band Stryper, which, if read incorrectly, spells something very unchristian indeed. Number 7, most viewed online word game video. I know I said at the start of this video that all world records are impressive, but for this one, I may have to temporarily redact that statement. People like to watch weird things on the internet. We know that to be true more than most. But why on earth the Guinness Book of World Records decided this achievement was worthy of commemorating is beyond me. Scramble with Friends match 27,000 points, 1 round, was uploaded by YouTube channel The .NET Kid on April 3rd, 2012, and has amassed over 348,000 views since then, making it the most viewed online word game video of all time, according to Guinness. The .NET Kid, who has a whopping 38 subscribers by the way, says they uploaded the video to prove they weren't cheating when achieving such a high score. Clearly, several 100,000 people didn't believe him, as they needed video evidence to prove otherwise. They responded to this earth-shattering video with comments such as, "How do you keep your thumbs slippery?" and good, excellent. The irony of these comments being left under a video for a language game is not lost on us. Number 6, the largest game of Minesweeper. It's not usually the sort of game we cover here on Triple Jump, but Minesweeper has a very healthy following, despite being over 30 years old. Fans include video wall company Cinemassive, who decided to make a version that was, well, massive. The Minesweeper Super Challenge was built to celebrate the game's 30th birthday. It was set over 24 HD screens and features 38,799 mines for players to clear, which is impressive and all, but the pedant in me is very annoyed they didn't add an extra mine just to have a round number. Cinemassive planned to offer 10 players a chance to test this game, but according to the Guinness Book of World Records, as of the 27th of October 2015, Cinemassive was still finalising dates for the event, so they obviously ran into some difficulties somewhere. I guess you could say that trying to organise this challenge was a bit of a minefield. I'll show myself out. Number 5, the smallest Game Boy. First released in 1989, the original Nintendo Game Boy was 148mm long, or 5.8 inches if you want to get imperial about this. 25 years later, somebody took a look at the Game Boy and thought, that's far too big. The world's smallest Game Boy was surprisingly not designed by Tiny Peter, but rather by Jerome Domberg, also known as Sprite_TM. Sprite's version measured a minuscule 54mm in length, meaning that it's nearly 3 times tinier than a standard Game Boy. It's even able to play a number of original Game Boy titles using an inbuilt emulator. What's more is it can run a version of The Witcher 3. Seriously, this isn't one of those jokes about how Skyrim can run on a watch. This tiny machine actually plays The Witcher 3! PlayStation 5, my foot. The world's diddiest Game Boy is a seriously impressive technical feat, and proof that there are some very clever people out there. And it also proves that these people have far too much time on their hands. Hands that suddenly look enormous when playing a 54mm Game Boy. Number 4, the most participants in a video game emote routine. We here at Triple Jump consider ourselves world-leading experts when it comes to the Fortnites. We know where the best shooty sticks are kept, how to build a classy but not too ostentatious garden shed, and we know about everyone's favourite Fortnite character, Long Tall SpongeBob. Look at him go, flying on his Nimbus 2000. What a hero! Being the experts that we are, we also know all about Fortnite emotes. Little dances that you can make your character do if you're celebrating, bored, or just being a classic prat. As anyone who has ever met someone under the age of 10 will know, emotes are extremely popular in real life. So popular, in fact, during the 2018 Paris Games Week, a world record was set for the most people performing an emote routine at the same time. 383 Cuddle Team leaders, and I assure you, I totally know what that means, took part in the routine. Well, I say routine. It was more like a room full of people doing the same vague actions at the same vague time, all while hopping on one leg. You know what, actually? I'm done pretending to be young and cool. This makes me want to embrace being old. Number 3, the first official music video in Simlish. For those who don't know, Simlish is a made-up language created for the Sims franchise. It's been around since 1996, which, according to the writer, makes it worryingly close to my age. And the language has developed a bit of a cult following, and has even gathered a few famous fans who are willing to have their works translated. Simlish versions of songs by the Black Eyed Peas appeared in 2004's Herb's Sims in the City, and acts such as Paramore, Katy Perry and Sigrid have also had their words translated into, let's just say, sounds and move on. None of them ever had a full music video in the language though. That distinction went to British singer Lily Allen, who re-recorded her #1 song, Smile, in Simlish in 2007. The video takes place entirely in The Sims world and tells a story of a woman getting revenge on her no-good lover. Acts of revenge include encouraging a group of children to hit him with snowballs, setting him on fire, and attacking him with a meteor? Can you do that in The Sims? Well, who am I to argue? I only speak enough Simlish to introduce myself and ask where the bathroom is. Number 2, first person named after a Mass Effect character. Parents all have different reasons as to how they name their children. Some wish to honour relatives or friends who are no longer with us, and others choose names based on historical figures or childhood heroes. One couple in North Carolina, however, named their baby girl after a faceless alien mechanic. Tali Zora Rose, born in 2014, was named after the Mass Effect character of the same name. According to proud Papa Adam, his wife fell in love with the name while watching him play through Mass Effect, and made him promise that if they ever had a daughter, they would name her Tali Zora. This decision got the newest addition of the Rose family into the Guinness Book of World Records as the first person ever named after a Mass Effect character. I hate to be that guy, but they do know there's a prominent character in the game called Ashley, right? Pretty sure plenty of people have been called that over the years. Some of them even predate the game. That should be even more impressive. And number 1, the fastest donkey ride in Red Dead Redemption. Yes, you heard me right. There is an official world record for the fastest time for a fictional character to ride a fictional donkey across a fictional Wild West. Somebody called Dizzy Rascal because this is bonkers. And we're not talking about any old donkey ride here. That would be utterly absurd. But specifically the ride between Dixon Crossing Bridge and Gaptooth Ridge in the first Red Dead Redemption. The record for the fastest time to travel between these two places by riding a donkey, which sounds more and more like a euphemism every time I say it, belongs to Dan White, better known on YouTube as Silent Core. Mr. Core travelled the allotted distance in 11 minutes and 7 seconds, which is, well, I don't know what that is. Weirdly enough, I'm not an expert on digital donkey racing, but according to those in the know, it's very fast. The fastest of all time, in fact, which is why Silent Core has been honoured with a world record. Just why this world record exists in the first place is another matter, but Silent Core should be proud regardless. In fact, everyone on this list should be very proud of themselves. The gaming world is often seen as a bit of a sideshow, and whilst tiny Game Boys, alien babies and speedy donkeys confirm that, at least gamers are getting some awards for all of their brilliant madness.